My beloved child, listen closely, because what I am about to reveal is not accidental, not random, and not meant for everyone. Archangel Michael steps forward in this very moment with urgency in his voice, because you are very lucky, yes, you, to have found this message just in time. There was a very serious judgment made about you alone, behind the scenes of the spiritual realm, and if you had arrived even a breath later, this revelation might not have reached you. That is why the warning is clear: hurry, because this message carries an expiration of attention. Blink spiritually, and it slips away. Something shifted recently that you did not see with your natural eyes. While you were going about your daily routine, heaven was not silent. A council gathered. Decisions were weighed. Records were opened. And your name, the one spoken over you before you were born, was brought forward. Archangel Michael says this plainly. Few ever realize when they are standing at the edge of a turning point. You are standing there now. This judgment was not what people around you assume. It was not based on appearances, nor on what others have said about you. It was a private ruling made because of what you have endured quietly. The nights you cried without witnesses. The times you held on when walking away would have been easier. Heaven saw what humans dismissed, and that is why this moment carries weight. Archangel Michael is not coming gently today. He comes as a defender, as one who draws the line and says, enough. There has been a pattern around you. Delays that made no sense, resistance where there should have been flow, and pressure that felt targeted rather than random. You wondered, why does it feel like everything happens the hard way for me? This is why. The judgment was serious because your future is serious. Hear this carefully. When heaven prepares to accelerate someone, there is always a final examination. Not to break them, but to verify them. You were being observed in moments where no one applauded you. Your reactions matter. Your restraint mattered. Your faith, even when confused, mattered. And now, the verdict has shifted. Archangel Michael says you are lucky not because life has been easy, but because you survived what should have destroyed you. That alone placed you in a rare category. The judgment that was made did not remove you. It marked you. Marked for protection. Marked for exemption. Marked for a different outcome than what logic predicted. But here is why this message feels urgent. There is a narrow window where awareness matters. What you do with this confirmation determines how smoothly the next phase unfolds. Many people miss their moment not because God didn't speak, but because they dismissed the whisper as coincidence. This message is not coincidence. It found you because you were meant to respond inwardly, not outwardly. Archangel Michael is standing guard over something that is about to change direction in your life. It may look small at first, a conversation, a decision, an interruption, but do not underestimate it. Judgments in heaven rarely announce themselves loudly on earth. They manifest subtly, then suddenly. One day you realize the pressure lifted. One day you notice doors opening without force. One day you understand why the delay was mercy. There is also a warning woven into this blessing. Do not rush back into old mental patterns. Do not explain yourself to people who never tried to understand you. Do not lower your discernment just because relief begins to arrive. Archangel Michael says protection increases when alignment is maintained. You are not being rewarded to relax. You are being positioned to rise. You may feel a strange mix of emotions right now. Relief, curiosity, even disbelief. That is normal when truth arrives before the evidence. But remember this: heaven never sends confirmation without intention. This message is not here to entertain you. It is here to prepare you. Very soon, you will notice that situations that once drained you no longer have access. People who relied on your silence will feel uncomfortable. Systems that benefited from your waiting will begin to shake. This is not chaos. It is recalibration. The judgment that was made in your favor is already echoing outward. Archangel Michael leaves you with this for now. Do not look back at who you were when you were surviving. You are not that person anymore. You crossed a line, and heaven acknowledged it. What comes next requires awareness, patience, and courage, and it will unfold faster than you expect. Stay present. Stay receptive. Something important is about to surface, and missing it would mean missing clarity you've been praying for. Chosen one, breathe slowly and let this truth settle deep within you, because what unfolds now is not about chance, but about timing that has been guarded with precision. Archangel Michael says the reason this message found you just in time is because there was movement against you that you were never meant to face unprepared. Something was forming quietly, not loud enough to alert you, not obvious enough to trigger fear, yet serious enough to alter your path if left unchecked. Heaven did not panic, but it did act. And that action involved you becoming aware now, not later. There are moments when judgment in the spiritual realm does not mean punishment, but decision. A decision about who advances, who is delayed, and who is protected while others are corrected. Archangel Michael reveals that your life was reviewed not because of failure, but because of potential. When destiny grows large, scrutiny grows intense. What you felt as pressure was not attack alone. It was evaluation. You were being weighed for something greater than your current circumstances. You may recall moments where everything seemed strangely paused. Plans stalled. Answers delayed. People went quiet. Even your prayers felt like they were hovering rather than landing. That was not abandonment. That was containment. Archangel Michael says heaven slowed things down to keep you from stepping into something before the ruling was complete. If you had moved too early, you would have collided with resistance meant for someone else. The seriousness of the judgment came from this. You were approaching a fork without knowing it. One path would have required endless proving, explaining, and surviving. The other required trust, surrender, and patience. Heaven chose the latter for you, even though your emotions sometimes pulled you toward the former. That is why some doors closed without explanation. That is why certain people exited without closure. It was not cruelty. It was redirection. Archangel Michael wants you to understand something important. Not everything that disappears is loss. Some things leave because they are no longer allowed to travel with you. When heaven rules in your favor, it does not always add immediately. Sometimes it subtracts first. That subtraction is protection disguised as confusion. And yes, you hurt. Yes, it felt unfair. But it kept you from carrying weight that would have slowed what is coming. There is also clarity now about why you felt watched spiritually. You sensed it, even if you couldn't name it. That sensation was not paranoia. It was discernment awakening. When your life is being considered for elevation, opposition notices. Not everyone who smiles at you celebrates you. Not every opportunity that looks good is good for you. That is why Archangel Michael has been sharpening your intuition through discomfort. You are learning to feel truth before you see it. This is where the urgency returns. Awareness is now your responsibility. Heaven has ruled, but earth still requires participation. You will begin to notice subtle tests, not dramatic ones, but quiet invitations to react the old way, to doubt yourself, to chase validation, to explain your worth. Archangel Michael warns, Those reactions belong to the version of you that was surviving. The version being released now does not need to beg for space. It is given space naturally. There is also something else being restored: timing. You have often felt late, behind, were outpaced by others. That narrative is being corrected. Archangel Michael says you were never late, you were hidden. Hidden from burnout. Hidden from premature exposure. Hidden from battles you were not meant to fight. What looks like delay will soon reveal itself as precision. Pay attention to your inner nudges in the coming days. Not anxiety, intuition. Not fear, discernment. When something feels off, pause. When something feels peaceful, proceed. Heaven is no longer speaking only through circumstances. It is speaking through alignment. You will know when something is right because it will not require you to abandon yourself to access it. This judgment also affects how others perceive you. Some will suddenly respect you without knowing why. Others will feel distant, even irritated, without reason. That shift is spiritual, not personal. When protection increases, unauthorized access is removed. Do not chase explanations. Let the separation speak for itself. Archangel Michael stands firm over you now, sword not raised in threat, but in authority. Its sword represents boundaries you no longer need to fight for. They are enforced. What once strained you will no longer reach you the same way. What once confused you will begin to make sense, layer by layer. You did not stumble upon this message. You were guided to it. And the fact that you are still here, still reading, still listening, confirms that something within you recognizes truth when it arrives. Hold that awareness. The next unfolding will require steadiness, not rush. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. What is about to surface will explain many unanswered questions, and you will be grateful you did not move sooner. My precious one, receive this gently but firmly, because what is being unveiled now explains why your spirit has felt restless even in moments of calm. Archangel Michael says the judgment that was made did not only concern protection, it concerned permission. Permission for movement. Permission for revelation. Permission for truth to surface in ways that cannot be ignored anymore. This is why your soul has been leaning forward lately, as if expecting news before it arrives. That sensitivity is not imagination. It is preparation. There are truths connected to your life that have been delayed, not denied. Truths about people, situations, and even about yourself. You have carried questions without answers for too long, and at times you blamed yourself for not understanding sooner. Archangel Michael corrects that lie now. The answers were sealed because revealing them earlier would have overwhelmed you. Wisdom is not only knowing, it is knowing at the right time. The seriousness of the judgment was rooted in this. Heaven decided you were ready to see clearly. Ready to recognize patterns without excusing them. Ready to walk away without guilt. Ready to accept favor without suspicion. That readiness did not come easily. It was forged through disappointment, through waiting, through prayers that seemed to echo back unanswered. Yet every one of those moments trained your discernment. And now, something begins to lift. You may notice your thoughts becoming quieter, more focused. Decisions that once felt heavy now feel obvious. This is clarity returning. Archangel Michael says when clarity arrives, confusion must leave. And confusion hath been one of the main tools used to keep you doubting your own perception. The tool no longer works. Be aware of this. Revelation often arrives before evidence. You may sense that something is about to be exposed or revealed, even if nothing has visibly happened yet. Trust this sense. Heaven does not rush to explain itself, it demonstrates. What you need to know will surface naturally, without confrontation, without you having to prove anything. Truth defends itself when the timing is right. This is also a moment of inner separation. You are no longer meant to carry emotional weight that belongs to others. Their choices are theirs. Their reactions are theirs. Archangel Michael says you have been released from responsibility that was never assigned to you by God. That release may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, because you are used to overextending your heart. But peace is not laziness. Peace is alignment. Pay close attention to your energy. Notice where you feel drained versus where you feel strengthened. Those signals are guidance. Heaven is refining your awareness so that you no longer confuse attachment with assignment. Just because you can help does not mean you are meant to stay. Just because you understand does not mean you must endure. There is also a restoration of confidence taking place, though it may not look loud or dramatic. It looks like trusting yourself again, like not second-guessing every decision, like choosing rest without guilt. That quiet confidence is powerful. It is the kind that does not need applause to exist. Archangel Michael smiles over this shift, because it means you are no longer easily manipulated by pressure. You might feel tempted to rush ahead, to demand answers, to make things happen now that you sense momentum. Resist that urge. This is not the season for forcing. It is the season for allowing what is unfolding as its own pace, and that pace is faster than what you experienced before, but only if you do not interfere with fear-based action. Hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what is next. And what is next will require presence. That is why this moment matters so much. If you drift mentally, you may miss subtle confirmations that strengthen your faith. Hold your attention here. You will want to witness how this develops. Archangel Michael leaves you with reassurance. Nothing meant for you will bypass you. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to compete for it. When heaven approves, arrival is inevitable. Let that truth settle your heart. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 919 has just been released. And hear this invitation as a continuation of what you just received. As this truth reaches you, there are countless others who are still waiting for the same light to break through their confusion. I feel led to speak directly to you now. If this message found you at the exact right time, your obedience can help it find someone else at theirs. When you sow into this work through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are placing oil into the lamp that keeps this light burning. The Lord says He gives seed to the sower, and your act becomes a river that carries clarity to souls you may never meet. This is not about support. It is about alignment with what heaven is already doing. Move now, not later, and let your obedience speak louder than hesitation. I release blessing over every giver, that what you pour out returns to you pressed down, multiplied, and timed perfectly. Step into this moment and act. Beloved soul, steady your heart as this next layer unfolds, because what Archangel Michael reveals now touches the deeper reason you have felt both guarded and restless at the same time. Protection has increased around you, yes, but so has expectation. Heaven does not shield without purpose. You were not preserved merely to survive. You were preserved to step into a clearer, stronger version of yourself that could not emerge under constant strain. There is a shift happening in how you see yourself, even if you cannot fully articulate it yet. Old labels are loosening their grip. Words spoken over you in past seasons are losing authority. Archangel Michael says those words once had power because you were still becoming. And now, they fall to the ground because they no longer match who you are. Identity is catching up with destiny, and that alignment changes everything. You may notice memories resurfacing lately, moments you thought you had already processed. This is not regression. This is resolution. Heaven is allowing unfinished emotional threads to come back, not to wound you again, but to close them with wisdom instead of pain. Where you once reacted, you will now understand. Where you once blamed yourself, you will now release yourself. That is healing, not reopening. There is also a recalibration in how you respond to silence. Silence used to make you anxious, wondering what was wrong or what you missed. And now, silence becomes informative. It shows you who is unsure how to approach the new you. It reveals who benefited from your over-explaining. Archangel Michael says, do not fill silence with unnecessary words. Let it teach you. You are also entering a season where discernment becomes more important than effort. Hard work carried you far, but discernment will carry you further. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every problem requires your intervention. You are learning to choose where your energy flows, and that choice is an act of authority. When you say no now, it is not rejection, it is stewardship. Pay attention to how your body reacts to certain environments and conversations. Peace is becoming your compass. Tension is becoming your warning. This is not weakness. This is refinement. Archangel Michael explains that when someone has endured too much for too long, heaven retrains their nervous system to recognize safety again. You are relearning what calm feels like, and that may feel unfamiliar at first. There may be moments where you feel strangely detached from things that once mattered deeply. Do not panic. Detachment is not loss of passion. It is release of attachment. You are no longer defined by outcomes. You are defined by alignment. That shift frees you from carrying burdens that were never meant to be permanent. This season also asks you to be honest with yourself about what you truly want, not what you settled for. Archangel Michael says many of your prayers are about to be answered, but not always in the form you imagined years ago. You have grown since then. Your desires have matured. Heaven honors that growth by responding to who you are now, not who you were when you first asked. There will be confirmation through small mercies, a timely message, an unexpected kindness, a door opening without resistance. Do not dismiss these as coincidences. They are markers along the path, reminding you that you are seen and guided. Large miracles often announce themselves through quiet consistency before dramatic change. Be mindful of comparison during this time. Looking sideways will distort your perspective. Others are not on your timeline, and you are not on theirs. Archangel Michael says what looks slow to you is actually precise. Rushing would fracture what patience is perfecting. Trust the process you cannot fully see yet. You are also being invited to rest without apology. Rest is not retreat. Rest is strategy. It sharpens perception and preserves strength. When you rest now, you are not giving up ground. You are claiming it. The clarity you receive in stillness will protect you from costly mistakes later. As this part of the journey continues, remember that growth does not always feel like expansion. Sometimes it feels like shedding. Let what no longer fits fall away without grief. It served its purpose. Gratitude closes seasons cleanly. Archangel Michael stands watch as you move forward, ensuring that what approaches you now does so with honesty. You are no longer required to fight for every good thing. Some blessings arrive because resistance has been removed. Allow yourself to receive without suspicion. Hold this awareness gently. You are transitioning from endurance to intention. And once that shift settles fully, the path ahead will feel lighter, not because it is easy, but because it is true. Beloved one, allow this moment to deepen within you, because Archangel Michael now draws your attention to something subtle yet powerful that has been reshaping your life quietly. You may not have named it before, but you have felt it, a gradual loosening of fear's grip. Not the sudden disappearance of fear, but the weakening of its authority. Things that once intimidated you no longer hold the same weight. Situations that once stole your sleep now pass through your thoughts without sting. This is not numbness. This is strength settling in. There was a time when uncertainty controlled your choices. You waited for reassurance from others before trusting yourself. You replayed conversations, questioned your instincts, and wondered if you were asking for too much. Archangel Michael says that season taught you humility, but it was never meant to become your permanent posture. Heaven never intended for you to shrink to survive. You were taught to bend, not to break, and now you are rising back to full height. Something important is happening in your inner world. You are beginning to recognize when something is not aligned without needing evidence first. This is discernment maturing. It does not shout. It whispers. And the more you honor it, the clearer it becomes. You are learning to move before confusion sets in, to pause before compromise enters, and to step back before depletion drains you. This awareness is protection in motion. Archangel Michael reveals that your resilience hath been noted in places you cannot see, not only in heaven, but in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Resilience attracts respect, even for resistance. What once tried to wear you down now thinks twice. Not because you became aggressive, but because you became grounded. Grounded people are not easily shaken. You may notice that your emotional reactions are changing. Situations that would have triggered you months ago now feel distant, almost neutral. Do not misinterpret this as indifference. It is mastery. You are no longer controlled by what happens, you are informed by it. That shift gives you power without arrogance, confidence without noise. There is also an invitation here to forgive yourself fully, not partially, fully, for staying too long, for doubting too much, for hoping when you should have rested, for resting when you thought you should have pushed harder. Archangel Michael says self-forgiveness closes doors that nothing else can close. Until you forgive yourself, echoes of old guilt will try to re-enter. But once you do, those echoes fade. You are stepping into a season where clarity replaces explanation. You no longer need to justify your decisions to people who are not walking your path. Your peace does not require consensus. Heaven has already agreed with your growth. Agreement is enough. The more you honor it, the less external validation you will seek. Be aware that as you stabilize, others may test your boundaries unconsciously, not out of malice, but out of habit. They are used to the version of you that overextended, overgave, and overexplained. Archangel Michael advises you to remain calm and consistent. Boundaries do not need announcements. They teach by repetition. There is also renewed creativity flowing toward you. Ideas, visions, desires that excite rather than exhaust you. This is a sign that life force is returning to places that were once depleted. Follow what energizes you. Energy is a compass. Where it flows naturally, purpose is nearby. You might still have moments of doubt. That is human. But doubt no longer defines you. It visits, but it does not live with you anymore. When it comes, acknowledge it without obeying it. Archangel Michael says courage is not the absence of doubt. It is movement despite it. Pay attention to timing. You will notice that things begin to align more smoothly when you stop forcing outcomes. Opportunities meet you halfway now. Conversations open at the right moment. Solutions appear without struggle. This is not luck. This is alignment responding to your inner order. There is something deeply important about this stage. You are learning to trust life again. Not blindly, but wisely. Trust built on discernment is unshakable. You are no longer hoping for the best while expecting the worst. You are expecting goodness while prepared with wisdom. That balance is rare and powerful. Archangel Michael reminds you that you are not alone in this unfolding. You are guided, watched over, and defended in ways you cannot measure. Even when nothing dramatic happens, protection is active. Even when days feel ordinary, progress is being made. Hold steady. You are not waiting anymore. You are becoming. And as this becoming continues, you will recognize yourself more clearly than ever before. That recognition will feel like coming home. My beloved one, receive this with a calm heart, because Archangel Michael now draws your attention to a turning that is happening not outside of you, but within your posture toward life. You are no longer bracing for impact the way you once did. There was a time when every quiet moment made you alert, every delay made you anxious, and every change made you defensive. That survival stance kept you alive, but it was never meant to be permanent. Heaven is gently guiding you out of that position now. You may notice that your reactions are slower, more deliberate. This is not hesitation. This is wisdom. Archangel Michael says you are learning the difference between urgency and importance. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your energy. Not every voice that speaks loudly carries truth. This discernment is protecting your peace and preserving your strength for moments that truly matter. There is also a shift in how you perceive responsibility. You once felt accountable for fixing, saving, or holding together things that were never placed in your care. That burden is lifting. You are realizing that love does not require self-erasure. Commitment does not require exhaustion. Service does not require suffering. This realization is freeing space inside you that will soon be filled with joy rather than obligation. Pay attention to how your boundaries feel now. They may feel unfamiliar, even awkward, but they are healthy. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with discernment. Archangel Michael explains that when boundaries are guided by wisdom, they do not block blessings, they filter them. What enters your life now does so with respect. There is a recalibration happening in your expectations as well. You are no longer settling for crumbs while calling it gratitude. You are learning to expect wholeness. This does not make you entitled, it makes you aligned. Heaven does not ask you to diminish your standards to prove humility. True humility is knowing your worth without pride or apology. You may still encounter moments where the past tries to pull you back through memory or emotion. When that happens, do not fight it aggressively. Simply acknowledge how far you have come. The past no longer has authority, it only has history. Archangel Michael says memory is meant to inform, not imprison. Let it remind you of growth, not reopen wounds. There is also something important about the way you speak now, both to others and to yourself. Your words carry more weight than before. You are speaking with less desperation and more clarity. You are explaining less and declaring more. This is not arrogance. It is self-trust returning to its rightful place. As this message continues to unfold across the world, I want you to pause for a moment and recognize something. You did not arrive here accidentally. If these words are resonating, it means your spirit recognizes truth. Take a second to engage with this message, like it, share it with someone who may need clarity, and leave a comment if this is speaking to your heart. When you do that, you are not just supporting a channel, You are helping this message reach someone who may be standing where you once stood. Subscribe and stay connected, because what is unfolding builds layer by layer, and you are meant to receive it. Archangel Michael says community matters in seasons of growth. Isolation weakens discernment, but aligned connection strengthens it. You are not meant to walk this path alone, even if your journey is unique. There are others awakening to similar truths, and alignment among them creates protection. Notice how your intuition responds more quickly now. You sense when to speak and when to stay silent. You feel when to move and when to wait. This timing is not learned overnight. It is earned through endurance. Honor it. The more you listen to it, the more confident it becomes. There may be an upcoming decision that tests this new awareness. It will not look dramatic, but it will be significant. The old version of you would have right or doubted. The current version pauses, listens, and chooses with calm certainty. Then choice will quietly change your trajectory. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that growth often feels uneventful in the moment. We expect transformation to feel explosive, but most real change feels like stability. It feels like peace replacing chaos. It feels like confidence replacing noise. Do not underestimate these signs. They are evidence that alignment is taking root. You are also being reminded to care for your body as part of your spiritual journey. Rest when you are tired. Eat when you are hungry. Step away when you are overwhelmed. These acts are not distractions from purpose. They are foundations for it. A regulated body supports a discerning spirit. As this part draws to a close, hold on to this awareness. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding to it. That shift marks maturity, and maturity carries authority that does not need to announce itself. Stay present for what comes next. What is being revealed soon will connect many of the dots you have been holding quietly. Trust me, you will want to remain here to witness how it unfolds. Beloved child, settle into this moment, because Archangel Michael now reveals why your environment has been feeling unfamiliar lately, even when nothing obvious has changed. The unfamiliarity is not coming from the outside alone. It is coming from within. You are outgrowing certain emotional climates, and when growth happens, familiar spaces can suddenly feel tight. This is not discomfort without purpose. It is your spirit signaling readiness for expansion. There was a time when chaos felt normal to you. You learned how to function inside uncertainty, how to stay alert, how to adapt quickly. That skill kept you moving forward when others froze. But Archangel Michael says that season trained you for survival, not settlement. Now that peace is becoming your baseline, chaos feels loud, unnecessary, even intrusive. This awareness is a sign that your nervous system is healing and your discernment is sharpening. You may find yourself questioning routines you once followed automatically. Conversations that once felt engaging now feel repetitive. Places that once energized you now feel draining. Do not judge yourself for this shift. Growth often reveals itself first through disinterest. When something no longer feeds your spirit, attraction fades naturally. This is not rejection. It is redirection. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that you are entering a phase where alignment matters more than familiarity. Familiarity can keep you comfortable but stagnant. Alignment may feel uncertain at first, but it carries life. You are being guided to choose what nourishes you, not what merely entertains or distracts you. This choice will feel subtle, but it will have long-term impact. There is also a quiet courage developing in you. You may not notice it in dramatic moments, but it appears in small decisions. You speak up sooner. You walk away faster. You rest without explaining. These are not random behaviors. They are signs that self-trust is replacing self-doubt. Archangel Michael says when self-trust returns, confusion loses its grip. Pay attention to how your prayers are changing. You may notice you are asking for clarity rather than rescue, for wisdom rather than escape. This shift matters. It shows that you no longer see yourself as powerless. You see yourself as guided. Heaven responds quickly to prayers rooted in alignment because they cooperate with what is already being prepared. You might still feel moments of loneliness, even as your strength grows. This is normal. Transition seasons often feel solitary because you are between versions of yourself. You no longer fit where you were, but you have not fully arrived where you are going. Archangel Michael reassures you that this in-between space is temporary. It exists to recalibrate you, not isolate you. Be mindful of impatience during this stage. When growth accelerates internally, the external world can feel slow. You may want results, confirmation, movement. But remember this: roots grow in silence. The deeper the roots, the steadier the tree. What is stabilizing now will support what flourishes later. Do not rush the unseen work. There is also something being healed in how you view time. You once measured your life by milestones you had not reached yet. That measurement created pressure and self-judgment. Archangel Michael says you are learning to value process over comparison. Your path does not need to resemble anyone else's to be meaningful. Timing is not a competition. It is an assignment. Notice how your emotional range is balancing. High highs and low lows are evening out into steadiness. This does not mean joy is gone. It means peace is taking its place. Peace is quieter than excitement, but it lasts longer. Peace allows you to think clearly, choose wisely, and love deeply without losing yourself. You may encounter resistance from others as this steadiness grows. Not everyone is comfortable around someone who no longer reacts predictably. Your calm may unsettle those who relied on your emotional availability. This is not your burden to manage. Archangel Michael says let people adjust. Your responsibility is alignment, not accommodation. There is also an invitation here to refine your focus. Distraction has been one of the main tools used against you in the past. Scattered attention weakens discernment. As your focus sharpens, distractions lose their appeal. You are learning to protect your mind the way you once learned to protect your heart. Take note of what you are drawn to now. Books, ideas, conversations that emphasize truth, depth, and clarity. This attraction is intentional. It feeds the part of you that is being strengthened. Follow it. Nourishment matters in growth seasons. As you move forward, remember that not every day will feel profound. Some days will feel ordinary, even dull. Do not mistake ordinary for stagnant. Stability is fertile ground. Archangel Michael says many breakthroughs are prepared during uneventful days, not dramatic ones. You are closer than you think to a realization that will tie many of these experiences together. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. What is approaching will feel familiar in a strange way, as if your spirit recognizes it before your mind does. Hold steady and stay present for what unfolds next. My beloved one, receive this with full attention, because Archangel Michael now speaks to the reason everything you have walked through is beginning to converge into meaning. What once felt scattered is aligning. What once felt delayed is synchronizing. You are not entering chaos. You are entering clarity. And clarity always arrives quietly before it becomes obvious. There has been a deep restructuring happening in your inner world. Beliefs you inherited, fears you absorbed, and limitations you accepted without question are being dismantled gently, but thoroughly. Archangel Michael says heaven does not renovate a life hastily. Every layer must be examined, not to shame you, but to free you. You are being released from narratives that were never authored by God. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to prove yourself the way you once did. Validation is losing its grip. Approval is no longer your fuel. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. When identity is secure, performance loses its urgency. You are beginning to act from truth rather than from pressure, and that shift will change the outcomes you experience. There is also a divine recalibration in how you perceive blessing. You once thought blessing meant addition, more opportunities, more recognition, more visible success. Now you are learning that blessing often begins with removal. The removal of confusion, the removal of unhealthy attachments, the removal of constant striving. Archangel Michael says what is removed now makes room for what will last. Pay close attention to how peace shows up in your life. It may not come with fireworks, but it comes with certainty. Decisions feel settled. Paths feel clear. Even when challenges appear, they do not shake you the same way. This peace is not dependent on circumstances. It is rooted in alignment. And alignment is heaven's signature. You are also stepping into a season of discernment regarding truth. Masks will slip without confrontation. Intentions will reveal themselves without interrogation. You will see clearly without having to dig. This is not because others change. It is because your perception has sharpened. Archangel Michael says, when sight improves, deception loses power. There may be moments when you grieve what could have been if you had known sooner. Allow that grief to pass through, but do not dwell there. You did not miss your life. You lived the training. What you learned could not have been gained any other way. Wisdom earned through endurance cannot be replaced by shortcuts. This is also a season where your voice matters differently. When you speak now, your words carry authority because they are grounded in experience, not theory. You do not speak to impress. You speak to illuminate. Archangel Michael says your testimony, even when unspoken, releases permission for others to heal. Your life is becoming a message. Notice how you are less reactive to provocation. What once pulled you into emotional loops now feels distant. This is self-mastery forming. Mastery does not mean you feel nothing. It means feelings no longer command you. That level of control is rare, and it positions you for trust. You may sense that something is about to open, not suddenly, but undeniably. A door that does not require force. An opportunity that does not demand compromise. A clarity that does not come with confusion. This is not imagination. Archangel Michael confirms that alignment attracts ease, and ease does not mean lack of value. It means resistance has been removed. As this unfolds, remember to remain humble without shrinking. Humility is not denying your growth, it is honoring the source of it. You did not arrive here by ego. You arrived here by obedience, endurance, and willingness to learn. Heaven honors that posture. Now receive this moment fully, because this message is not only for awareness, it is for activation. Type "I am aligned with heaven" in the comments if you feel this truth settling into your spirit. Blessing code 1441 is now activated over your life. And as this alignment is released, I am led to speak directly to those whose hearts are stirring right now. What you are receiving did not originate here. It flows from heaven through obedience. When you choose to support this work through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a platform. You are fueling a mission. The Lord says that when seed is sown into good ground, it multiplies beyond what the eye can see. Your giving becomes oil that keeps this message reaching souls who are still searching for clarity in the dark. This is a prophetic moment of response, not later but now. I release blessing over every giver, declaring that as you open your hand, heaven opens doors over your life that no effort could unlock. Obey the nudge and act. Beloved one, remain still within yourself for a moment, because Archangel Michael now reveals something that explains why the season feels both calm and charged at the same time. You are standing in a corridor moment, the passage between what has ended and what has not fully appeared yet. These moments often feel quiet on the surface, but they carry immense spiritual movement underneath. Nothing is stall. Everything is aligning. You may feel an unusual sense of anticipation without knowing exactly what you are anticipating. That feeling is not anxiety. It is readiness. Your spirit recognizes that something has shifted permanently, even if your environment has not caught up yet. Archangel Michael says this is what happens when inner alignment moves faster than external manifestation. The inner world always leads. There is an important correction happening in how you interpret resistance. In the past, resistance meant stop. Now, resistance simply means refine. Not everything that pushes back is blocking you. Some things are strengthening your discernment. You are learning when to persist and when to pause. That discernment will save you years of unnecessary struggle. You might notice that old temptations no longer appeal to you the same way. Not just obvious ones, but subtle patterns, overthinking, people-pleasing, self-sacrifice without wisdom. These patterns once felt familiar, even comforting. Now they feel heavy. This is evidence that your identity has shifted. When identity changes, habits follow. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that your spiritual authority is increasing, even if your visibility has not yet. Authority does not require an audience. It requires alignment. You are learning to govern your emotions, your reactions, and your choices. That self-governance prepares you to steward greater responsibility later. There is also something happening in how you perceive truth. You are less impressed by words and more attentive to consistency. Promises mean less than patterns. Intentions mean less than actions. This clarity protects you from future disappointment. It does not make you cynical. It makes you discerning. Pay attention to how you feel after certain interactions. Some leave you grounded. Others leave you scattered. These signals are guidance. Archangel Michael says your body and spirit often recognize misalignment before your mind does. Trust those signals. They are not random. You may experience moments of boredom or restlessness during this phase. Do not confuse these feelings with lack of purpose. They are signs that you are no longer entertained by distraction. Your soul is craving substance. This craving will guide you toward deeper fulfillment if you honor it instead of numbing it. There is also a strengthening of patience happening within you. Not passive patience, but confident patience. You are no longer waiting because you feel powerless. You are waiting because you trust timing. That trust is earned, not assumed. It grows from seeing how past delays protected you. You may begin to see connections between events that once felt unrelated. Conversations from months ago suddenly make sense. Closed doors reveal their reason. Losses show their mercy. This integration is healing. Archangel Michael says understanding often arrives after acceptance, not before it. Be mindful not to isolate yourself completely during this stage. Solitude is healthy, but disconnection is not. Seek alignment, not withdrawal. There are conversations ahead that will sharpen you, not drain you. Ask for wisdom to recognize them. You are also being prepared to recognize opportunity without desperation. In the past, opportunity felt like pressure, something you had to seize before it disappeared. Now, opportunity feels steady. It invites rather than demands. This shift ensures that what you choose will not cost you your peace. There may be moments where you question whether you are doing enough. Release that question. Productivity is not the measure of alignment. Presence is. Archangel Michael says, when you are present, you respond accurately. When you are anxious, you react prematurely. Choose presence. Notice how your self-talk is changing. You are kinder to yourself. You recover from mistakes faster. You no longer spiral the way you once did. This is emotional maturity taking root. It will serve you well in what is coming. Something else is important to recognize. You are no longer easily provoked. Drama loses its grip when clarity increases. This does not mean you avoid conflict out of fear. It means you choose your battles wisely. Silence is becoming a form of strength for you. As this phase continues, you may feel tempted to rush the reveal, to demand answers, to push for visible change. Resist that urge. The unfolding is precise. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing meant for you is delayed beyond its perfect moment. Hold steady now. This is where discernment becomes reward. And stay with this message. What unfolds next will connect everything you have been sensing but could not yet explain. Beloved child, receive this carefully, because Archangel Michael now turns your attention toward how your outer world is about to respond to the inner alignment that has already taken place. For a long time, your growth was invisible. You were changing quietly, restructuring inwardly, healing privately. That phase is coming to completion. What has been happening in silence is beginning to press outward, and the world around you will soon have to adjust. You may notice subtle shifts first. People responding differently to you. Situations resolving with less effort. Conversations opening where walls once stood. These are not coincidences. They are echoes. The moment your inner world stabilized, your external reality began reorganizing itself around that stability. Archangel Michael saith reality always follows alignment, even when there is a delay. There is also a new sense of responsibility awakening in you. Not the heavy responsibility that drains you, but the steady kind that anchors you. You are becoming more intentional with your time, your words, and your energy. You no longer scatter yourself across too many directions. Focus is becoming natural, not forced. This focus will soon attract opportunities that require maturity, not hustle. Be aware that with growth comes visibility, even if you are not seeking it. Others will begin to notice your steadiness. Some will be drawn to it. Others may feel uncomfortable around it. This is normal. Archangel Michael reminds you that light does not argue with darkness. It simply shines. Your task is not to manage reactions, but to remain aligned. There may be moments when old fears attempt to resurface, especially when new possibilities appear. Fear often shows up disguised as caution. Discern the difference. Caution consults wisdom. Fear consults the past. You have learned enough now to tell them apart. Trust that learning. You are also entering a season where decisions carry more weight. Not because they are dangerous, but because they are impactful. Small choices will create larger ripples. This is why awareness matters so much right now. Pause before agreeing. Reflect before committing. Alignment will always feel calm, even when the decision is big. Archangel Michael says something important is returning to you. Authority over your own narrative. You no longer allow others to define your motives or intentions. You speak when necessary, and you are silent when silence carries more truth. This self-possession is powerful. It prevents unnecessary battles and preserves energy for what truly matters. As this message continues to reach people across the world, I want you to recognize the role you play in that. If these words are helping you see clearly, they can help someone else as well. Take a moment to engage, like this message, share it with someone who may need confirmation, and leave a comment if this resonates with your journey. When you do that, you become part of how this message travels. Subscribe and stay connected, because what is unfolding is progressive, and each layer builds on the last. Archangel Michael emphasizes that alignment is sustained through consistency, not intensity. You do not need dramatic gestures to stay on course. Simple, daily choices matter more. Rest when needed. Speak truth when required. Walk away when peace is threatened. These habits reinforce the stability you have gained. There may be an invitation or opportunity approaching that feels different from past ones. It will not come with pressure or confusion. It will come with clarity. Even if it stretches you, it will not drain you. This is how you will recognize it. Alignment invites growth without demanding self-betrayal. You are also learning to trust yourself after mistakes. When something does not go as planned, you adjust rather than collapse. This resilience is evidence of maturity. Archangel Michael says resilience paired with discernment creates leadership, whether or not you hold a visible position. Pay attention to the language you use about your future. You are no longer speaking in terms of fear or limitation. Even when uncertain, you speak with hope grounded in wisdom. You are speaking life more naturally now. There is also a deepening of gratitude within you. Not forced gratitude, but honest appreciation for growth, lessons, and protection you can now recognize. Gratitude strengthens alignment because it keeps you aware of progress rather than fixated on lack. You may find yourself simplifying your life. Fewer distractions, clearer priorities, stronger routines. Simplicity is not loss. It is refinement. Archangel Michael says what remains after simplification is what truly matters. As this phase continues, remember that you are not waiting for permission anymore. Heaven has already confirmed your path. What remains is daily alignment. Choose it calmly. Choose it consistently. Stay present with this unfolding. The next revelation will clarify why all of this preparation was necessary, and it will make sense in a way that brings peace, not pressure. Beloved one, draw nearer in awareness, because Archangel Michael now reveals why everything you have experienced up to this point was structured with such precision. This was never just about healing or protection alone. It was about preparation for discernment at a higher level. You are being trained to recognize truth quickly, to sense alignment before words are spoken, and to move with wisdom rather than impulse. This level of discernment is not given lightly. It is entrusted. You may begin to realize that your tolerance for confusion has dropped significantly. Where you once tried to understand everyone and everything, you now feel an inner resistance to mixed signals, vague intentions, and unclear paths. This is not impatience. It is clarity rejecting distortion. Archangel Michael says when clarity enters, compromise must exit. You can no longer pretend not to notice what your spirit clearly sees. There is also a deep internal stabilization happening. You are no longer emotionally swayed by every change in circumstance. High moments do not inflate you, and low moments do not define you. This emotional steadiness is rare, and it is valuable. It allows you to respond rather than react, to observe rather than absorb. This steadiness will soon be tested, not to threaten it, but to confirm it. You may notice that you are less interested in explaining your journey to people who have not walked it with you. Silence feels safer, not because you are hiding, but because you are discerning. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Archangel Michael affirms that privacy is not secrecy when it is guided by wisdom. Guarding your inner world preserves your strength. There's also a shift in how you perceive challenges. You no longer see them as signs of failure, but as points of refinement. When something does not work, you ask better questions instead of condemning yourself. This mindset protects you from shame, which has been one of the quiet weapons used against you in the past. Shame loses power when self-awareness grows. Pay close attention to how you feel when you imagine the future now. It may not be perfectly defined, but it feels possible. It feels open rather than heavy. That openness is hope grounded in reality, not fantasy. Archangel Michael says hope anchored in wisdom creates movement without anxiety. You are learning to expect good without demanding certainty. You are also becoming more selective with your emotional investments. Not cold but intentional. You recognize that attention is a form of currency, and you are no longer spending it recklessly. This selectivity will protect your energy and ensure that what you pour into has the capacity to grow with you. There may be moments when you reflect on how much you have changed and feel a quiet grief for the version of you that endured so much without support. Allow that compassion. Do not rush past it. Honoring your past self completes the cycle of healing. Archangel Michael says gratitude for survival opens the door for thriving. You are entering a stage where your presence alone shifts atmospheres. You do not need to speak loudly or assert dominance. Your calm, grounded nature carries weight. This influence is subtle but undeniable. People may feel seen, challenged, or unsettled around you without knowing why. This is not something you need to manage. It is a byproduct of alignment. Be mindful not to underestimate how far you have come simply because growth felt slow. Slow growth is often the deepest. What has been built inside you is stable, not fragile. It will not collapse under pressure. It will not disappear under stress. This stability is the result of lessons learned thoroughly, not quickly. There is also an invitation here to trust joy again. Not reckless joy, but safe joy. Joy that does not ignore reality but rises above it. You may find yourself laughing more freely, enjoying small moments, feeling lighter without guilt. This is not distraction. It is restoration. Archangel Michael says joy strengthens the soul in ways discipline alone cannot. You might sense that you are nearing a reveal, not something external at first, but an internal knowing. A moment where many experiences suddenly connect into understanding. This realization will not come with shock, but with peace. It will feel like recognition rather than surprise. As this part unfolds, continue to choose presence over pressure. Do not rush the process by seeking constant signs. Trust the alignment you are living in daily. Signs follow alignment. They do not create it. You are not waiting for life to begin. It has already begun, quietly, steadily, truthfully. And what comes next will not require you to abandon this steadiness. It will require you to bring it forward. Remain attentive. The final unveiling will bring closure, confirmation, and release in a way that honors everything you have walked through. My beloved child, receive this final unveiling with a settled heart, because Archangel Michael now brings completion to what has been forming across every step of your journey. This is not an ending in the sense of closure alone. It is a release into understanding. What once felt fragmented now gathers into meaning. What once felt heavy now becomes clear. The seriousness of the judgment that was made about you was never meant to intimidate you. It was meant to protect the future you are now ready to step into. Archangel Michael says the reason you found this message just in time is because the old chapter has officially expired. You are no longer standing between two worlds. You have crossed the line. The hesitation, the constant self-questioning, the feeling of being on hold, these things have lost their authority. They may echo for a moment, but they no longer decide your direction. There is a deep peace available to you now, and it does not come from everything being perfect. It comes from everything being aligned. Alignment does not remove challenge, but it removes confusion. You will still face choices, but you will no longer face them alone or blindly. Wisdom now walks with you. You may look back and realize that many of the struggles you faced were not meant to defeat you but to strip away illusions. Illusions about who you had to be accepted. Illusions about how much you had to suffer to be worthy. Illusions about needing permission to become who you already were called to be. Archangel Michael says those illusions have been dismantled. What remains is truth. You are stepping into a season where your life becomes simpler, not because it is smaller, but because it is clearer. You know what matters. You know what drains you. You know when to engage and when to step back. This clarity will save you years of unnecessary pain. Do not underestimate its value. There is also restoration happening in your trust. Not naive trust, but wise trust. You trust yourself again. You trust God's timing more deeply. You trust that what is meant for you will meet you without forcing. His trust is not passive. It is grounded. It allows you to move forward without fear dictating your pace. Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. You were never forgotten. Even in seasons where silence surrounded you, direction was forming. Even when prayers felt unanswered, protection was active. Even when you felt overlooked, you were being preserved. Preservation always precedes purpose. You may notice that people who once questioned you will no longer have access to the new version of you. This is not punishment. It is boundary by design. Not everyone who knew you before is meant to walk with you now. Release them without resentment. Gratitude closes doors gently. As you move forward, do not carry the weight of needing to prove anything. Your life will speak. Your peace will speak. Your consistency will speak. Let results arrive naturally. Archangel Michael says when heaven establishes something, no explanation is required. There is joy ahead, not loud at first but steady. Joy that does not disappear when circumstances shift. Joy rooted in knowing who you are and where you are going. Allow yourself to receive it without guilt. Joy is not a distraction from purpose. It is fuel for it. This message does not disappear because time runs out. It disappears when awareness fades. You have been awake through this entire unfolding, and that matters. Carry this awareness forward. Let it guide how you choose, how you speak, and how you rest. Type "I walk in divine confirmation" in the comments if you receive this message fully. Blessing code 8881 is now released and sealed over your life. And as this journey reaches its completion, I speak directly to those who feel the weight and beauty of this message in their spirit. I hear the Lord say that this word was not sent only to bless you, but to flow through you. As rivers do not drink their own water, this message must keep moving. I am speaking to you now. Your obedience in giving through super thanks membership, where the PayPal link in the description becomes a prophetic act. When you sow here, you are placing fire on the altar so this message reaches souls who are still waiting in silence. Scripture declares that those who water others will themselves be watered, and I release that promise over every giver. Do not delay what heaven has prompted. Act now, and let your seed speak in places your voice cannot reach.